What's up YouTube, it's your boy ChasmRift here, and today we got ourselves a pretty important video. We'll be talking about a topic that's been kind of controversial, that's been spoken out between many different people throughout the fighting game community. And this video is basically going to be talking about 3 things done that developers can do to grow their entire fan base and community. Really there's going to be 4 points, but 3 of them are in the best interest of the developer. The 4th point is just quality of life changes for the actual player base themselves. Alright, disclaimers: if you enjoy how a game is made and ran, that is fine. This video is talking about tips to improve games in this genre for the future. If you have an issue or a gripe, speak out about it. No game is perfect, and when we are told to pay $60 plus tax, then we shouldn't feel we received a $20 product. Second, please define to me what is a casual gamer. Is it someone who plays fighting games like once a week or once a month if lucky? Or is it someone who owns the game but aren't very good at it compared to others? Because I see people who group them both together. In fact, I hate arguing with people because they use the term so ambiguously. It honestly loses its meaning. Prime example, back in March or April of 2018, months after DBFZ dropped, I had hundreds of hours into my game. I played a lot and beat many of my friends at it. But I was trash compared to where I'm at now. I still think I'm trash, but that's besides the point. My friends who have grown past the button mashing and auto combo state of DBFZ and learned combos. Back in the day, they acknowledged I was a dedicated player. But today, if they play someone who plays exactly as I did a year ago, my friends will assume they're beginners, but in reality, they may not be a beginner or a casual. It's just someone who just so happens not be as good as them. Hope that makes sense for you guys. And hopefully, many of you are woke by that example. Alright, let's get into the first topic at hand. So the first point I wanted to bring up is marketing. This is a big one, and there's a reason why people go to school to study this. Marketing is the backbone of a product being a success. Making sure your game reaches the biggest audience it possibly can. Try to get the game developed on as many platforms as possible. For example, before the summer of 2018, I played mostly on Xbox, and because of that, I never heard of Arc System Works at all. Now I'm a big fan of all their games. The reason for that is because Arc System Works rarely develop games on the Xbox. In fact, I think they only developed one game, which was a Guilty Gear, back for the early Xbox. Since then, they never really developed games for it, and Dragon Ball FighterZ, since it is a huge title that's owned by Bandai Namco for the gaming IP license, this is the first time many people from the Xbox branch actually got to know and be introduced into Arc System Works game. Not being able to reach a large audience can affect the sales of your game. We'll get back into this in a moment, but that's something I just wanted to throw out there right now. Sticking on to the point of marketing, game reveals at EVO and Tokyo Game Show are nice and all, but that's not the best way to introduce your game to new eyes. If you're trying to introduce your game to current members of the FGC to get them interested and intrigued into your product, then sure, revealing it into a live audience at grand finals of EVO or to 100,000 people watching at home is a great way to do that. However, if you're trying to reach a new audience, not many people, especially casuals who never really dove into the fighting game genre, watches EVO. Not many people watch the Tokyo Game Show. Yes, they may follow channels and they may follow content creators who do cover stories about it, but they'll just be one of the many games that their favorite content creator may talk about and not pay attention to. This is, however, compared to revealing a game at E3, for example. E3 is the biggest showcase for games. In fact, many people look forward to E3 every summer just to see what new hot title will come towards their platform or choice. If you can get your game at E3, then you're setting yourself up for having a nice and quality assured presentation that could possibly lead to increased sales and newer players getting their hands on your product. Of course, if you can't get there, then you just gotta work your way up there. Rome isn't built in one day. This is something to keep in mind for the companies who have the ability to market their games outside of just the borders of Japan or whatever country they're originally made from, and try their best to expand it beyond the borders and try to get it out to as many eyes as possible instead of just reclusive locations. Going back to what I mentioned with the Arc System Works title example, is that having your titles be exclusive to a certain console or a console plus a PC port limits your audience range. Just because someone is a fan of a franchise doesn't mean they're willing to buy a new console just to play an exclusive title. You think a person who just spent $400 to $500 on his Xbox One is going to shell another $300 to $400 for a PS4 just to play Street Fighter? Especially after the initial launch where people exposed the many issues the game has? Or people who play solely on PC will buy an Xbox just to play Killer Instinct? I think not. Arc System makes quality games that don't get mainstream success. DBFZ hit 5 million sales not because they discovered a secret formula. It hit the sales because, let's be honest, it had the Dragon Ball name and mantra on it. Outside of marketing, if people are still iffy on buying products, they tend to lean onto the second most common deal breaker, reviews. This segues into my next topic because reviews are given to quality products that earn the support and trust of their consumer base. Nobody wants to review a game that fails to offer much to be desired for. This is where part 2 comes in. Having mini modes / story and/or content for players. I put this together because admittedly, the fighting game genre, at least the 2D fighting games, can have an issue branching out with things. However, a game having good modes is what brings in many people. Let's think critically about current popular fighting games. Outside of arcade mode, which is a beat 'em up against the CPU and net play, what do fighting games offer to players to keep them playing? Nothing. Especially games with a bad story mode. When people who got an early access to Jump Force posted content and reviews, we quickly learned that the game's story mode was buggy, had long load times, and terrible animations. In fact, everything in J-Force had long loads. But I remember I argued with people about the game being a hot mess. They told me it was fun despite the issues, which is fine. It's fine. But many told me to go play Red Dead for a good story mode because all they care about is playing online. Game dropped worldwide and it had a huge day 1 update with patch notes longer than my arm. The game had issues and bugs. Everything had a long loading screen and didn't have a rematch option of any kind day 1. Many mechanics were broken as well. Bandai admit the game was not meant to be played competitive, which is fine, but it is a scary thing to hear because they could use that as an umbrella excuse to avoid patching many issues since the game isn't meant for tournament play. Ironically, most of the game's issues weren't unbalanced characters, but actual battle mechanics being broken and imbalanced to favor randomness. On top of that, they finally given out a rematch option, but reports came out that majority of players don't want to rematch, which shows people are trying to cheese the game and not improve. The game also has netcode that is awful, which sounds perfect. So for anyone boldly white knighting this game, where are you now? Is this your online experience you all praise and defended for? Maybe not. The Steam chart shows that the game is having less than 200 active players at this moment, and the game came out in February this year. It's been 7 months and it's on Xbox Game Pass already. We're not talking a year and a half. We're not talking 17 months. We're not even talking about 7 years. 7 months. Enough of my tirade of Jump Force. This is definitely an issue J-Force being the poster child for. Bamco has a licensing deal with these companies to develop or publish yearly titles for Dragon Ball, One Piece, or Naruto IPs. When they see idiots ready to defend these titles and their issues on social media, they see that regardless of the crap they put out there, they will garner sales. All they have to do is slap Naruto or Goku on the box of a game, and they'll just watch the money roll in. Let this be another game without those faces on it. I guarantee you the internet would not allow for this to happen. They were right over a company having the audacity to charge $60 for a shit game, let alone $100 for a few in-game items and 3 days early access? Hell no! Hashtag Fix2K was trending on Twitter when fans of 2K20 saw their game was broken in almost every game mode. They know that they're going to get cucked by yearly releases of these titles, yet they understood new modes promised in the game should be playable with no issues day 1. You don't release a movie to theaters when the film is still in production. I give these two games a lot of crap, but they know how to keep their fans entertained and playing. Those games are Xenoverse 2 and Smash Ultimate. Smash has the World of Light, where you can unlock new items, trophies, stickers, characters, etc. They also give you so much flexibility for both net play and offline play, which means you can, in theory, never get tired because you aren't restricted to playing by the same rules you are in most fighting games. Xenoverse 2 pushes out new content and game modes all the time, on top of having a very compelling story mode compared to DBSE. I know people who replay Xenoverse just to be immersed by the story mode. Despite the game being 3 years old now, there's still constant support for the game, while the netcode has been improved. Speaking of netplay, let's talk about number 3. Let's improve the netplay. Improve either the netcode compared to the previous titles developed, because for those who don't understand, when a game is developed, the netcode is what the game is being developed around. You know, you just can't type in a few lines of code and bam, you have perfect netcode. The game actually has to be developed and it has to be worked around said netcode for online play. But however, some of the issues I'm going to bring up doesn't have to exactly deal with the netcode. Let people see if their opponents are playing on Wi-Fi or wired. Give players different events and game modes with lucrative rewards to encourage netplay. And for Christ's sake, give people on ranked automatic losses for disconnecting, and also give them a punishment ban for the disconnect. How in the holy hell can a game alert me on someone being a constant rage quitter, but don't give them online losses? Don't give me a crap about, in Japan, rage quitting is extremely rare, because if this video is about expanding the horizons of these games and their fan bases, if they care to look outside their own borders, they'll know people are babies in other countries. The fact that the rage quitter warning is given to me in games like DBFZ shows that they at least have some idea or are thinking on the right track about it. Just give people their losses and even an hour-long netplay ban and keep it stepping. The game companies and their online opponents don't control people's living situation. I didn't tell you to choose that ISP who happens to throttle your internet during netplay, nor did I tell you to have your console so far away from your router you can't get a long enough Ethernet cable. In fact, I didn't tell you to play online. If you hop online knowing you have bad internet situation, that is on you and no one else. Better enjoy the bans or just play other games that aren't about 1v1 action. Finally, this is more about a quality of life fix that companies should implement to keep their player base happy. Keep producing content for the games. I was told we should be lucky the game has a season 2. That should be a standard and a given, like the telling us if the opponent is on wired or Wi-Fi. The only games that don't support their titles after a year or so is usually the likes of Madden, 2K, and Call of Duty. Hell, even the devs for Call of Duty games will sometimes give post-yearly content packs like Zombies Chronicles for Black Ops 3. The thing about those games is, they have yearly releases for their franchises, and besides COD, they shut the service down, which forced their player base to buy the new games. Fighting games like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat don't come out yearly, so any game that comes out and the next installment won't drop for the next few years should have a Season 2, 3, 4, whatever, as well as consistent support. Nothing kills a game faster than leaving the community and the fan base hanging by saying, we only care about the initial launch year, so tough nuts. Balance patches shouldn't live by this unofficial but yet accepted rule of one a year is fine. If the one balance patch that year balanced the entire roster, then sure, you have a point there. If the game still has glaring issues or didn't address community concerns, then another major update should be demanded by players. Not because the game can't be fun in that state, but because the game's player base and the enjoyment players will get will dwindle when they are 4 months into a season and nothing has changed since the start of it. That's exactly how I feel about DBFZ and many games I've watched from the sidelines. They are all played by this. I understand Arx is a swamp with titles because they're trying to make some bread, but as a consumer, I don't care about that. I'm trying to enjoy the games I bought from them, knowing there won't be a second installment of this game for years to come. So I demand it to be treated as a service and not a $60 for a year of enjoyment. To say that the devs will lose out on time and development to make a quality product just to add game modes or give consistent support to their title is asinine if you ask me. Just listen to how that sounds. Games like Overwatch, League of Legends, and many other games give players years worth of content, and because of it, their player base stays huge while making a return in revenue for these companies. Do you seriously think fans, especially people from other genres who never really care about fighting games, will play if they hear the devs are willingly choosing not to add new features to the game? By your logic, nobody should ever play these games unless they want to be cucked by companies trying to make a quick dollar. Because that white knighting makes these games look like a big scam with these flimsy arguments. Games are meant to evolve. It's a natural process of entertainment. I agree that making changes to games such as getting rid of the need for Z inputs and double half circles because they are hard for pad players. But listen to this though. Making the game simpler for pad players does not mean the game is made for the casual audience. If someone is being introduced to the FGC, they won't own a stick or a hitbox, so making it accessible with their controller is important. We can't just mash both newcomers and casuals together based on assumption without critical thinking. Listen to an interview by Core Gaming, the one that featured JDCR, one of the best Tekken players in the world. He likes that Tekken is made to be accessible as possible without touching or removing advanced features because that rewards players. JDCR was happy to have Tekken 7 be released on home consoles because the online experience in arcades are bad. It was revealed that in South Korea, the fighting games in the arcades are dying, besides Tekken. So in North America, Europe, and South Korea, the arcade scenes are dead, with Japan being the only one left going strong. These are the 4 regions/countries thought of when it comes to virtually every fighting game as having dedicated players, yet 3 out of the 4 is dying in the arcade scene. Yes, I understand the arcades were popping back in the 80s and 90s, and fighting games reigned supreme, but we gotta think critically as to why it all changed and why the arcade days are over. Consoles became not only popularized, but affordable and accessible as years went on to the average person. Why should they want to go out and travel a few miles to game when they can buy the game from a Walmart and play it at home, or even download it online? Use this as a reference for what the value of a quarter is. If you play Pac-Man, they give you 3 lives, meaning with 1 quarter you can stretch the game as long as you want, but you're only allocated 2 mistakes realistically before you are actually dropping another quarter to keep playing. So in a sense, playing on arcade cabinets, for every quarter you invest, you're actually paying to virtually demo a game. There was no internet connectivity in the 90s, nor was technology there to allow for more content in these games, so you can't expect Street Fighter 2 to have character updates and new modes unless a new machine was added into the arcade. Since you couldn't keep the save file, after a while, you would either get bored as a consumer or realize you paid to play a game you can never own, as we stated earlier, without burnout, and a title without any updates or changes. The days of the arcade are over, so thinking with the 90s mentality or pondering on how fighting game genre can reach its former glory days is the wrong move. The genre still can reclaim its spot as the popular wave, but doing so goes beyond just making a pretty game with simple mechanics and having no new content to keep people interested. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I hope the points I got across made a lot of sense and it actually got a lot of people thinking. If you have any ideas or tips on how the fighting game genre can grow, on how it can improve itself, and to just find new ways to make it reach its former glory days, leave them down below. I'll be glad to hear about them. Other than that, I'm about to get out of here, guys. I just wanted to make this video because Jam is making it like I'm copying everything he's saying, because he's just pumping this stuff out constantly. So I gotta get my word out there before it's too late. Gates fall open. I guess gotta go close them. So bye.